I come here tonight as a female member of Congress, as a strong pro-life member of Congress, and also as a mother. I've been gifted to be able to bear 5 children, and I'm grateful for that honor, grateful to have known what it's like to be able to hold a little baby and be able to know what it's like to carry a little baby to full term. It is a thrill. It is a blessing. And I know for many women across America, they've made decisions in their lives regarding abortion that have affected them for good and for not so good. And for women who are abortion-minded, who have made that decision to abort their baby, they know what I'm talking about. They have made a decision that has radically altered their life. And whether that's a memory that they've tried to put under the carpet or whether it's a memory they're still dealing with, they know in the center and in the core of their being that something huge happened when they made that decision. And I don't stand here this evening, Mr. Speaker, condemning any women that have made that decision. To the contrary, what I am saying is that there is a way out for women who have made that decision. They can find peace, they can find forgiveness, but we also want to tell the truth about abortion. We want to tell the truth that it leaves a gaping hole in the soul of a woman when she makes that decision. And many women are pressured to make that decision, pressured by a boyfriend who tells them they'll leave the woman if they don't make the decision, pressured by parents who are embarrassed or who don't want their daughter to have to deal with a baby, or maybe who themselves don't want to deal with a grandchild that they're just not quite prepared to deal with. And I think part of the message that we want to give tonight is that there are alternatives. There are positive alternatives for women and for men who find themselves in that situation. There are loving alternative pregnancy centers in nearly every community in the United States who will offer free pregnancy testing, who will offer free sonograms or ultrasounds so you can hear your baby's heartbeat and see your baby on a screen and make that decision. And I think what we're trying to let a lot of American women know across this country this evening is that choosing life is probably one of the most gratifying decisions any woman, any man can make. The American people, for the first time, the public opinion show that over 51% of Americans claim they are pro-life. This is one of the highest ratings we've ever seen. Part of that, I think, is because of science. Because science shows us human development of the unborn child. And the more that we learn about the unborn child, the fascination, the intricacy, the beauty of the unborn child, the more we embrace giving life to this beautiful treasure and to this beautiful gift. And that brings us to our subject this evening, dealing with D.C. And there's a few things that I wanted to mention in my remarks. The taxpayer funding of abortion also increases the number of abortions. So when we put tax money into the equation, we'll get more abortions. And it makes sense. It's practical. And that's according to the Alan Guttmacher Institute, which is the research arm of Planned Parenthood. The Guttmacher Institute also routinely reports showing that when public funding is not available, 30% fewer women who receive Medicaid have abortions. Now, this is interesting because it means 30% more babies whose mothers receive government-subsidized health care survive because abortion funding restrictions. Because the polls have shown very clearly that a majority of Americans do not support taxpayer-funded abortion. They don't support it. And we're here to represent the will and the interests of the American people. And that's not where the American people are at right now. They don't want to see us spending their money when we don't have much, when this government is in the red ink up to our eyeballs. We don't have money to pay for the intentional murder of unborn children. And the Obama budget changes this Dornan Amendment, as my colleague Mrs. Schmidt has said, to the Financial Services Appropriations Bill so that publicly funded abortions will once again be available in the District of Columbia. The District of Columbia has a record of abusing taxpayer funds for abortion. It's bad news, but it's true news. In the 1980s, when the district had the most permissive abortion funding policy in this country, abortions were funded for anyone, not just Medicaid recipients. Elizabeth Reveal was the D.C. budget director at the time. She, quote, confirmed that the district's government has a policy of funding abortion on demand and did not attempt to determine the circumstances of a pregnancy. D.C. allows minors, that's children, to receive abortion services without the consent of their parents. So imagine that. Here in D.C., children can receive an abortion without their parents' consent, which means that the American taxpayer will be funding abortions, paying for them for children. And minors could easily be brought in from other states. Remember, D.C. is only about 10 miles square. So minors could be transported across state lines, brought to D.C. from other states to have abortions paid for by the American taxpayer right here in Washington, D.C. to avoid the parental notification laws in their home states. And that's according to the Alan Guttmacher Institute, according to Planned Parenthood. They don't have accurate numbers on abortions in D.C. due to women from other states coming to D.C. for abortions. There's problems here with this, deep problems with this measure, and that's why we had the Dornan Amendment. It made sense. It was only reasonable. And so, unfortunately, under the Obama administration, we are taking the Band-Aid off this problem and exposing it to even more infection. And the infection is more money. And we know that more money will lead to more abortion. We would love to just be here this evening and talk about the positive story of life. And it's a beautiful story. But this is a really ugly story because it's about expanding more abortion, more misery for women,